Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. We're going to try this recording today again. We already finished part 6 the other day, so we're going to try this. First off, I want to thank all 262 subscribers. Um, my subscribers keep going up, and I appreciate your support, especially all my past subscribers. I uh, really appreciate your support. Uh, to give you support even more, I would appreciate if some of you could go to my Patreon account and become a Patreon contributing member. All the funds, all the membership funds go directly to a charity. I don't see a penny of it. It just goes directly to charity. So you would be helping out the community, and I would totally appreciate it, and I'm sure the community would totally appreciate it. And you can find the link to my Patreon within the description area, just below the video. So, okay. Whoops. Okay. All right. There you are. Okay. Let's get started. Liz applauded her show from outside the splash zone. It was a wise choice, not only because of the obvious crossfire from the jump, but because Nicholas immediately started flinging water skyward. That offense wasn't taken floating down. The old water was waged in another age. Smacking and splashing defensive and offensive moves and general merrymaking occurred in the depths that summer day. When a trace was finally called, when a truce was finally called, part of the peace talks included drying off before going home, and so the brothers climbed out of the pool. George gratefully took a seat once more. After so much excitement, a mental pool chair was a welcomed friend. You and Liz up, launched by him, lounged by him. Even Derek and Nicholas gave the chairs a chance. Your merry gang of five whiled away the best of the afternoon together. The lives you were leading were so different that there was never an end to new things to tell and hear. But eventually it was unanimously agreed that it was time to bring the party back to Sarah's home. The kids ought to visit with their poor old parents, as Liz put it. The second pool, that was technically their first pool, was left behind after a short drive. You'd made it back. It was nearly evening by then. Hey, welcome home. Did you enjoy the pool? She moved out of the way to let you all inside. Derek hesitated before bringing up the rear. It was hard to ignore that he was shyly scratching his cheek and keeping his head down now that you were inside. Whew, excuse me. It was a great time at the pool. Exactly. The pool was so good. That's the truth. Miss Sarah's affectionate gaze trailed across her three boys and then settled on you. She knowingly winked. I'm so glad to hear that. Mr. Sarah's gleefully made his way over when he realized your group was back. His eyebrow arched, and you could feel the mischief coming. I told Mom you may not return as dry as you had left. He did say that. I'm gonna put this on there. Derek's still a kid. Both Nicholas and George raised an eyebrow at that remark. You crossed your arms com- confidently. You don't need that on there. Ah, there it goes. It worked that time. The few hours passed by at more leisurely pace. Together, progress was made on a 1,000-piece puzzle. At one point, Derek plucked one of the pieces from the I have no idea where this goes pile and tossed it at Nicholas to catch his attention. Without taking his eyes off the puzzle, Derek wondered out loud if he could take the switch over to his place for the night. He had played it as if it was no big deal on the hopes that Nico would feel less pressure. Nicholas let out a deep sigh but got up anyway, just as Derek had always struggled to say no to him. Nicholas equally couldn't deny his big brother's request. He returned a few minutes later, holding the console with a tangled power cord and a couple controllers piled on top. Well, there we go. I'm guessing you wanted two controllers. That was exactly right. He knew Derek wasn't getting it for himself alone. But in order to experience it with you, looks like Derek never needed to buy an extra controller himself. Wow, thanks. Nicholas's gaze narrowed as he pulled everything closer to his chest. But before I hand this over, could we play a few rounds with the family? His eyes went wide and pleading instead of answering. Derek turned to you, his head tilted as he silently asked for your opinion. You nodded. We'd be staying here for a while longer then. That's fine with me. Cool. He shifted back to his little brother, game face on. I hope you're ready to lose, Nico. That's cute. Don't prepare your victory speech just yet, bro. George, you're in too. It is not a choice. The tiny piece of cardboard in George's hand dropped into onto the kitchen counter at the unexpected enlistment. He blinked, but then smiled. Yeah, the Suarez family gathered around the TV, and the brothers got the consoles set up. With a new battle sparked between the Suarez boys, you and Liz decided to give your moms a quick call. They were tickled to find out what happened with Liz's surprise trip. Between the four of you, it was decided that Liz would go down to Sunset Bird to see them in person soon, and that you would stay in the city. Your trip with the Sarah's family, and there was a visit later in the summer that would center around your mom's completely. After the call ended, you placed your phone back in your pocket. You had an, a new thought. Huh, what's that about? When are you leaving? I know you're here now, but you never told me for how long. Oh, I'm out of here tomorrow. Technically, this is a very short trip. I say technically because my flight at 1:59 p.m. Can you believe it? Sheesh. Talk about a major inconvenience, but buggers can't be beggars can't be choosers. Hmm, Derek. The brothers were abandoned in Gangland when Liz nearly shouted that last part over her shoulder. It was loud and pointed enough that there was no way they could miss her teasing. Derek watched you Prince siblings over his shoulder. His cocky grin fell to a frown. Yeah, that's true. You're leaving tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night. Both of, both of you are. Derek tried to muster another smile, but it was weak and comparison. He seemed smaller all of a sudden, squashed in the center of the couch with a brother on each side. Then he shrugged. Things are starting to feel normal having you here, just in time for you to not be here anymore. Nicholas' chin lifted as his brother's uh, crestfallen tone. His gaze bounced back and forth between you and Derek, but you found his expression to be difficult to read. George, meanwhile, gave his big brother an understanding pat on the back. When he caught your attention, he nodded encouragingly. Without a doubt, you knew you could rely on his family to be there to support him alongside you, to bring him cheer during the days you were gone. You were thankful for them. Well, I hit a nerve. Sorry. Nah, let's forget about that. It's not tomorrow yet. Okay. I'll be right back. I gotta do something. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Let's see. I'm gonna go with this one. You were worried about Derek ignoring his own feelings. You knew from the start tomorrow was going to be a tough day, but it was worse now that you got a glimpse of how it might impact Derek. You weren't sure how to explain to him that it was okay to be sad and that was okay to miss what made this trip special. The game had been paused since Derek stopped watching the screen, but the screen had as strong of an impact on Nicholas as it had on his favorite person. His brows furrowed tensely. That settles it. Nico breathed in deep through his nose, gathering his nerves, and pushed himself off his seat. He walked with purpose away from his family and towards your sister. Hi, could you give us some privacy? Us younger siblings need to talk. Liz Liz's lips twitched, possibly with a bit of disagreement or a question or even a sneaky quip, but surprisingly she kept it in. Okay, go easy on him. You might be their cherished little one, but Chippy is mine. Yeah, sure. I hear you. He nonchalantly waved her off, and Liz gave you one last brief glance before yielding. Once she was gone, it was just you and Nicholas in that corner of the room. Actually, could we talk outside? Oh, alright. His behavior so far had you stunned, but you followed him outside anyway. No one tried to follow, though you could feel every eye on your backs as you and Nicholas left. Standing in the street, Nico silently exclaimed, examined you with self half opened eyes. Your mouth twisted awkwardly as you looked around. There was always a chance that Nicholas could surprise you, but you had a good idea, a good guess about what the conversation would be about. Should I be worried you brought me somewhere without any witnesses? Nicholas's cheeks puffed out in something like a pout, but he exhaled loudly instead. George was right. He and Derek are somehow always right. They got all the being correct genes, and none were left for me. But forget that. I'm not going to throw a tantrum. There was a comment you could have made, but the words on your tongue vanished. The meekly earnest way Nicholas carried himself got you to hesitate. There's something I want you to know, so just listen. Do you remember the night you took Derek to some party thing that club your family goes to? He said to simply listen and then went straight into wanting answer. Nico was trying through. Yeah, I still remember. That night was one of your fondest summer memories, though you didn't have a clue what Nicholas had to tell you about that party now. This might be wild to you, but believe it or not, that night left an impression on me too. I was so upset that Derek bailed on the movie. He had to go without we had to go without him, and then mom and dad wouldn't even let me stay up to see him get back. They tried every trick in the book to get me to go to sleep. Nothing worked. I just wanted him home. And they never did get me to go to sleep. I blinked myself out of by accident. I burned up whatever energy I still had that late by getting so upset. Nicholas chuckled at the memory, rubbing the back of his neck. His eyes remained wistfully glazed for another moment. I couldn't understand why he wanted to go away all by himself. That didn't make any sense. Me, him, and George, but at the at that age, we we know I know I really meant me and Derek should stay together. That's when life was the best, right? Silently nodding along, that didn't surprise you, but it also didn't stop the guilty feeling growing in your gut. You knew his 6 year old self well, and the last thing you ever wanted was to hurt him. At some point, I did wake up and I rushed out to see Derek by my big brother, my best friend, and he hung out with me exactly like I knew he would. I think mom and dad must have gone back to their own room because I remember Derek being the one to put me in bed. He promised to tell me all about what happened. It was great. A slight smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Nicholas gradually met your gaze, and then he crossed his arm. When he tucked me in, I was so happy that Derek was there and talking about the cool things he did. At that time, they were the biggest and most important adventures. I feel I fell asleep perfectly content. But when I woke up the next day, I was sad all over again. It took a minute for my baby brain to realize that almost none of the story was about the fancy party or how he was the only one of us who got to go. It was about doing something with you. Your heartbeat was louder in your ears. You un- unconspicuously wiped your sweaty palms on the side of your thighs. I couldn't even explain that to anybody, including Derek. I didn't have the words. All anyone knew was that poor little Nicholas was feeling down. Don't worry, I get better now, prospectively and maturely and whatever. He glanced at the condo and your chest echoed. You had a good feeling that he was searching for Derek. He nearly, he really liked you. That's what I realized, and that's what made me sad. Derek's face when he looks up at you now is the same as it was 10 years ago when I was wrapped up in my blankie and he was dressed in his fancy clothes just talking about you. But it doesn't make me sad anymore. Nicholas's lingering melancholy melted into a warm laugh. And basically, Derek really likes you. That's the point. Smile brightened your features. It was wonderful for Nico to share what he could see with his own eyes, and even more amazing to know with certainty that it was the truth. The moment of levity didn't last. His brow pinched, and he stared you down in a long pause. Nico wanted to address your relationship with his brother. It was the only thing that got him so serious. Your nerves had goosebumps breaking out all over your skin. Just when you thought you'd crack from the suspense, Nicholas smirked and tossed his arms out to the wind. Well, Chippy, at the end of the day, I'm going to support Derek all the way. I bet you know that. But to make sure, don't go dumping him for my sake. His honest, mature answer was such a relief it nearly knocked you off your feet. Nicholas shrugged and continued his thought. Seriously, it's a good thing, and you adults have your own problems to deal with. You don't need me adding to it. So, congratulations. Thanks for hearing me out. You've really grown into a mature young man. Yeah, yeah. Don't let this uh, innocent face fool you. Nicholas drew a quick circle in the air. His head emphasized his point while he teased. His expression gradually softened. I'm not a baby. I know, and thank you. Thank you for putting that dumb smile on Nicholas's face. Nicholas ruffled a hand through his hair in a manner much the same as Derek did. There was no surprise there. It also wasn't much of a shock that you and your family of sorts managed to clear the air between you. There was more than a mutual affection for Derek. You cared for each other too. You returned to the condo together with matching conspiratorial smiles. The way the room hushed as you walked through the door, you knew that not a single soul was minding their own business. And despite everyone's best attempts at pretending to be busy, it was obvious that Liz and the Suarez family were all equally curious about what happened outside. Everything okay over there? Should I be concerned? We're fine. Nicholas had cupped a hand next to his mouth to yell at your sister as his brain caught up to his actions. He leaned towards you with a raised brow. We're all good, right? We couldn't be better. He rejoined his brothers and you went back to Liz. After that talk, you felt a million times better about where you stood. Welcome back. I see you're still in one piece. Yeah, I'm even more whole. Ah, cute. Nicholas lifted his chin and flashed his siblings a determined grin. He cracked his knuckles. Okay, that's enough with the seriousness. Let's race. Yes, let's race. All right. Liz's brows raised as she watched the bizarre exchange. You slapped your fingers over your mouth to muffle your laughter at first, but couldn't leave your sister hanging, so you gently got her attention by pushing her arm. They're still talking about video games, a card game. Oh, that makes sense. She cuddled some stray strands of her hair behind her ear and watched the chaos commence. Well, there's no reason we should sit out now. Our jobs are done. The family you and Liz included ended up crammed shoulder to shoulder on the couches. Liz announced her intention of beating the brothers in a game she never played. Her enthusiasm for the gold win was as powerful as ever. You hoped the condo would survive the competition. You you wanted to play too. There was nothing like a good racing game to get the blood pumping. Your fingers were already fidgeting in anticipation. You needed a controller as soon as possible. Count me in for this. Since there were only so many controllers, it was decided that everyone would take turns, starting from the youngest to the oldest. Nicholas faked humility as he accepted his position as first. The races began, and the room bounced with wild cheers and shouts. Even Miss Suarez jumped in line for a race. She was a welcome addition to the event. Mr. Suarez, on the other hand, had a history of gaming offenses. He was watched like a hawk by the other participants to make sure he didn't pull any funny business. But it was to no avail. Just before the top three were decided, the race was intensively neck and neck. Miss Suarez managed to bump George from behind with his foot and destabilize his son's driving. Not one person actually saw him do it in the heat of the moment, but there was no debate on who the kicker was. The matter of how much Mr. Suarez pleaded his innocence, the fact that his instances was threaded with laughter didn't help his case. The rest of the rounds went off with less cheating through weren't any less memorable. Eventually enough of the day passed that Liz rose up to her up to her feet. It's getting late. My ride back to Sunset Bird would be coming soon. I'm going to give my legs a chance to stretch and wait outside. She flinched you a weak smile and then double checked what she had all of her things together. Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone. Before she could make her exit, Derek sprung up as well. Wait, Chippy, and I should get going too. You don't have to leave by yourself. What a gentleman. At that, Nicholas and George finally stopped what they were doing and turned to their big brother. Both of them were identical frowns. Derek glanced away from Liz towards the growing audience. Sorry, we'll see you again tomorrow. He sheepishly scratched the back of his neck while his brothers continued to stare politely, uh, pit to pitiably. Hey, I've got an idea. Why don't you come over to my place for a change? Mom and Dad are welcome. Obviously, you too, Liz. Let's do it tomorrow. That idea was met by surprise, but the room shifted positively. Getting to Derek's place was more unintentionally agreed on than even Mr. Serra's being a big cheater. A new plan made. The group said goodbye for now. You and Derek accompanied Liz out. Though halfway, Derek paused and remembered to barrel back inside. He almost forgot to take the control home with him again. Perfect timing or not, Derek wasn't letting it slip through his fingers. He returned in record time as if he joined an actual race. Together, you hung outside with Liz until she was safely on her way home. It was still mind blowing that you didn't have to center your life around a bus or a shuttle schedule anymore. By the time Liz's ride was out of sight, the sun was hanging low in the sky. It would be dark soon. You hopped into Derek's car and flopped into the front seat. You were ready to settle down for the day. Derek carefully stored the control cords and two controllers in the back seat before taking his spot behind the wheel. Excuse me. As soon as Derek pulled the door shut, he slipped his fingers on the steering wheel. Whoa, I've been waiting forever to try that new game. Well, it's not that new. It's already a few years old, but you know what I mean. You're adorable. There was no stopping your tiny smile. It's so cute when you're excited. You light up. Huh? He hung onto the steering wheel for dear life. Alright, I'll take your word for it. But from where I'm sitting, there's definitely someone cuter. Derek eagerly turned the key and the engine roared to life. When seconds you were down the road, cruising down the road again. I'm really glad you and your brothers got to open up to each other. You caught Derek off guard with that. His eyes widened before his whole expression softened. Me too. It was a good reminder just because we know that we love each other doesn't mean we could take it for granted. You'll never know what's going on unless you try to see it. Yeah, it takes effort to keep a relationship alive. The rest of the ride passed by in a comfortable silence. Soon enough, you were standing at his apartment door, Derek pushed it open and motioned for you to go in first. Carrying the console and its various wires under his arm, Derek trailed behind you. He casually gestured towards the living room. Take it easy and relax. I'll get this bad boy set up. You appreciated the gesture. You kicked your shoes off and flopped onto the couch. Derek chuckled as he sat cross-legged on the floor and began untangling the cords. I don't know how to they do it. These were tangled free getting into the car, and I swear they were getting out. How did it happen? Maybe they got nervous visiting a new house. You could say tied into knots. Derek stopped what he was doing. His nose wrinkled, and then he let out a loud laugh. You might be right about that. Once the console was all ready, Derek declared something was missing. Luckily, it wasn't one of the cores that was covered. I'm going to put my pajamas on. We can't have a late night game session in regular clothes. Oh, yeah, I'll change too. Awesome. Let's regroup in 5. With a deadline set, you both scrambled down the hall into your own rooms. A few minutes later, you return to about the same spot where you'd come in, but clad in much cozier outfits. Uh, that's gonna be a record. How? No, where's that? Derek retrieved the game you got at the mall. The case had been waiting uh, patiently on the coffee table for quite a while. Hmm. There's versus and team modes with their racer game. What are you in the mood for? I want to work together. Yeah, let's go with that one. We're a good team. Derek flipped over the game case and read the back again. You noticed the tips of his ears were a shade redder than usual. Yeah, we are. He threw up a high five. Derek enthusiastically met with a loud slap. He picked up a controller and shot you a wink. Derek put the game in and hovered by the console until he was satisfied that things were booting up correctly. Then he relocated to the couch across the TV and plopped down in the center. You went to sit on the same couch. Shifting and squirming, you responded, uh, yeah, repositioned yourself until the cushions and your body aligned into the most comfortable position. Derek chuckled, and you caught him trying to hide it after the fact. Hi, Chippy. Hey, you were close enough that your leg brushed against his while you got comfortable.
Hey Chippy, how you doing? Pretty good?
Right.
Hey Robert, how you doing?
Uh,
Pretty good? How you
yeah,
doing?
yeah, I'm busy trying to record. Sorry. Even after putting a few inches between you both, your shoulders occasionally bumped. Derek's welcoming smile brought a warmth to you. Or maybe it was your hyper awareness of his body heat radiating through your side. Either way, it was getting hotter. And on that note, your digital adventure began. Hours rapidly went by from there. Sorry about the intrusion, guys. Let's see. Okay. You handled the game with ease. It was a team effort, but still, you were breezing through this game. There wasn't a challenge that you couldn't easily solve on your own. And it wasn't just you that felt that way. Every time you caught Derek's attention, he flashed you a self satisfied grin. At this point, you two were competing over precision. Your throat was sore from highs of making each other laugh, from the lows of shouting out the frustration at the TV. The game was still in full swing when suddenly Derek spoke up, not for further commentary on your digital movies, but for real life considerations. um, did you want any snacks? Out of habit, you glanced in his direction, and he had his sight locked on the TV screen even still. I can't keep putting my stomach off. Could you hold down the fort while I'm gone? Before you could even answer, Derek was already out of his seat and dashing towards the kitchen. Can do.
No problem.
I can bring something for you too. I'll have whatever you're having. I think. Cool. I'll grab enough for both of us. From the repeated clatter of cupboard doors, you knew he was checking every cabinet for the best treats. Your stomach began rumbling in anticipation. Dirk returned, and his arms were filled with all kinds of goodies. You pick up your grocery trip, and a couple of you hadn't seen before. They must have been tucked away for a special occasion before you'd arrive. He carefully placed 2 water bottles down and then dumped the rest into the coffee table. Behold, Derek flopped back down onto the couch and did a double take at the table. You'd already managed to swipe a handful of things. Excuse me. Ready to jump back in?
You got it.
You know it. The TV's changed in brightness as the game resumed from the dimmed pause menu as noticeable. Squinting, you listen to the familiar music flowing through the speakers until your eyes adjusted. Though it wasn't long before the game managed to suck you in once again. As the game accelerated into its most important moments, neither of you nor Derek could be contained by your own seats. You kept pushing and pressing into each other on the couch. The night slipped by joyously. At one point, you took turns watching the other work through some single-player content. Despite Derek's unusual position as the responsible one, you knowingly stayed up, gaming late into the night. Gradually, your eyelids dropped. Your laughter was displaced by yawns, and your voices grew softer until they were whispers floating softly into cotton-filled ears. The last thing you heard was the melody of the game's music, still playing but sounding so far away. You returned to awkwardness slowly. Your eyes were still heavy and you rubbed at them. Crushed into the cushion, you were exactly where you started your visual exploits last night. An off-white couch with Derek. Alright, well, it's been a long recording, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Let's go ahead and save. Save it right there. Okay. Da, da, da. And thanks again for watching on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button for those of you who haven't subscribed yet. And don't forget to check out my Patreon account and become a Patreon contributing member. Your membership fund, their monthly fund. It's a monthly payment. There's a $3 one, and then there's a $5 one, and I believe a $10 one. So, the $5 and $10 ones are for adult content only. Also, to let you know, if you want to receive any adult content that I have recorded onto a flash drive, you must become a member either on the $5 tier or the $10 tier. And you can go on there and post your email address so that I can send you copies of uncensored adult stuff that I put on my flash drive. And I got a lot. I've got a lot. So just to let you know. And again, you can check out. You can see my. You can find my link to my Patreon within the description area just below the video. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys later.